Hi guys, how you doing? As you can see, we're back in the garage again, and it is almost spring, not quite, but close. We've got some good weather. As you can see behind me, the green is green. We've been cutting grass a bit, got to do that a little more today. Um, it's kind of one of those things where I haven't been doing much of these and opinions of how things are going in the world. As you know, I watch business and politics and lots of kind of things. And actually, today is voting day in Pennsylvania. Today is Tuesday, and that's not what I'm going to do. But actually, I'm as a family, we have one Republican, we have one Democrat. I'm the Republican, and actually, it's not that we're probably both independents, but we figured we needed to have one on either side. So anyway, that's kind of where it's going. As you can see behind me, I have a new car. It's a nice Honda RHV. We crunched the other one up by accident, and but anyway, everybody's safe and happy, and the year is starting to move on. I got some health issues that I'm dealing with that have kept me kind of down, and so we're just beginning to kind of get the feel of spring, which is really great because it actually makes you feel better. You're breathing better. You can watch the lovely green that goes on. So anyway, this is kind of the first of the 2023 version of the Garage Talk. Okay, so I was just watching the hearings. I'm a hearing watcher. I love watching the federal hearings at times. They're always kind of interesting because you have both Republicans and Democrats, and they hold a hearing to, well, I don't know, do whatever they feel like doing. And this year, of course, the Republicans are kind of in power as far as that goes, so that by and large, a lot of the hearings are kind of aimed at beating up on the Democrats because they can. They have the majority right now in the House. McCarthy is a guy who believes that now is the time. We have the people. I'm going to go over and we're going to beat up on anybody that we don't like and try to cause them great grief, which is really kind of sad because at one time in this country we had a little more bipartisan work. So if you're doing bills or things like that, that you have to have some bipartisan support. But many of the things that are going through Congress now are one party only. I mean, so they just passed a bill, oh, I don't know, last night, the day before, where it was strictly a one-sided event, that all the Republicans voted against it, all the Democrats voted for it, and at the moment, the Democrats kind of have the edge because they have a bit more strength in the Senate, and they're about equal they're actually a little under in the House, but the Senate they have pretty good control over. So, I mean, and it's really sad to watch this go on because it really isn't solving any of our problems. I mean, we're up against the debt limit at the moment. That's what the big fuss is about right now. Whether or not we should, the Republicans basically said, we're not going to allow you to push the debt limit up unless you agree to cut some spending. Now, on the surface, that seems pretty good. But by and large, the worst part is the debt limit threshold. If you don't keep allowing it to move up, then you're going to probably not pay some bills. So if you default on some of your bills, that's really pretty bad for us because as a country, our Treasury has been paying the bills. I mean, and in the Senate and the House all lay out who gets paid and when. So they're trying to basically say, well, we're not going to pay our bills unless you agree to reduce the size of those bills, which is almost reasonable. Maybe not quite reasonable, but almost reasonable. We should reduce our spending. There is no doubt about it. We have a huge. I watched the debt a lot, and I was absolutely terrified when we went over $21 trillion back a few years ago. Well, hell, we just went over $31 trillion. So, I mean, this is a debt that really is unsustainable. You can't keep creating debt that you can't pay for. And what happens is you just keep pushing it down the road where our children, grandchildren, grand-grandchildren, I mean, down the road somewhere, it all got to be paid for. And right at the moment, I think when you look at the debt clock, we all owe about 25 grand. Every single person in the United States owes 25 grand the instant you're born because of the debt that we've accrued, which is a little scary. But we've done this before. The Second World War caused us to have great debt, and we worked our way out of that without a few. We had a few bumps and so on and so forth. But by and large, we can do this. We just need to get together. And the worst part is right now, nobody's together. The Democrats and Republicans are just throwing rocks at each other. If they can get a political edge, they will take it. The Republicans are good about, throwing rocks at the president. The president is good about trying to stonewall the Republicans. We have a small group of people in both parties. I mean, actually, we think of it as being more Republican issue, but it actually isn't. It's actually both parties have small groups of very aggressive people that the media likes to focus on. Remember, media is kind of the third part of that problem. One is that they need to have watchers. So the only way we can have watchers is because we make money with watchers. Remember, how they make money is by having more bodies watching them. So news at one time was not profitable. If you go back to the old days with Walter Cronkite and, Dan Rather and a few of the others, the news department never made money. They were there to provide news and an unbiased kind of news in general. And then all of a sudden, they found out, Fox was probably the guys who actually started it up more so than anybody else. They found out that, hell, wait a minute, we can make money from news. We'll just keep throwing out stuff that people want to look at. We'll have car crashes. We'll have political intrigue. We'll do all these things that people want to see. Some of them may be true. Some of them may be only half truths. Some of them may be no truths. It's very difficult to tell from one from the other. And today with AI, which is the hearing that I'm watching today is all about AI, and we'll talk about that in a minute, that we really don't know exactly what is true coming out of someone's mouth. They may be using, exaggerations. They may be using misinformation. They may be using just straight out lying, and depending on who they are, it can be really bad. We know that there are a number of people that are there in the government that like to lie. The one particular in New York, he's kind of like throwing it back. He thinks he's going to be another Trump. Trump was always a good liar, and this guy is not nearly as good as Trump was. So it's kind of hard to tell how this is going to fall out. I think they're going to dump his ass before he can go much farther, because even the Republicans are starting to not like him. McCarthy needs him because he needs that one vote, but there's a lot of Republicans that really don't care for this guy from New York who basically lied his way into Congress. Hey, not the first one to do it, probably not the last, but at any rate. So by and large, it's really crazy these days. Everybody's trying to make do with what they got. The economy is not bad. We've got a pretty strong economy, but their inflation has given a lot of problems for a lot of people. There are a lot of folks that the cost of everything has gone up so rapidly that it's very hard for them to compensate for it. And it's very difficult. I mean, everybody has that problem. Everybody has maybe a little bit of, savings that says, okay, if the kid falls over and breaks his leg tomorrow, I'll have enough to cover the bill at the hospital. A lot of them can't do that anymore. I mean, we've really reached that point of where everybody has given up an awful lot of that surplus that they might have had for COVID. Remember, while we were in COVID, that was not a bad thing. Government gave out lots and lots of money, and a lot of us folks down at the bottom end of the pile basically did well. I mean, we got this money infusion into us, and what did we do? We spent it. Hey, the guys at the top that own everything, they don't spend their money. They spend somebody else's money. But all us guys on the bottom end of the pile, basically, we just go out there and you give us $10, we'll go out and spend $10. It's okay. Because we need to spend the $10, whether it's on fuel or food or, something for the kids or whatever the case may be. So it really is. We're talking about class warfare in some ways, which is a terrible thing to say. I mean, it really, to think that we would be at a point of where all those that have really don't want to share anything with those that don't have. And that just isn't the American way. I mean, and it's terrible. I am neither left nor right, or I'm basically, I take every issue kind of independently, which is what we should all be doing. Sometimes the left is good, sometimes the right is right. But right now it's warfare, and we're getting terrible politicians that are not doing the people's business. At any rate, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to get off on a tangent there, but that's kind of the way it is in Greene County today. Spring is coming. Grass needs to be cut. I got to cut some grass. Got a chance to clean out the garage a little bit today, so we're not doing too badly. I've got a few health issues I got to get by, but other than that, hey, we're doing okay. Everybody, be safe. Be happy. Bye-bye.